Good evening, everyone. It's been a little while since I showed you a kiln opening, and I was a little bit impatient and the lighting wasn't very good in there because it's cloudy outside. So I brought everything into the studio. It's just a small amount of items, but most of these are going to be going to a store in Tennessee, and a few items will stay here in Virginia to go into another store locally. So I'll show you what I've gotten done. And because it's a tourist area out in Tennessee, she sells a lot of magnets and ornaments, and she was almost out of ornaments. So I'm sending some of the Cat Mom. I know I've shown you these before. I put pine green underglaze on some, and then did some in the black and white, and those are ornaments. The last time I sent some out there, it was a lot of magnets, and I think I've shown one of these before with a little kitty. That's a stamp, and this is also a stamp, and a cutter that I use to make those. In a hand form, I made a little template, and I cut these out and hand make all the little the eyes and nose and mouth and everything. Sometimes I make them in calico, and sometimes they are just plain black and white. Now these are magnets, but sometimes I make them into ornaments. This is kind of a new shape and a new roller that I use. It has the kitties on that, and I used black underglaze and poppy celadon glaze from Amico on that. This is also another new little roller, and it's cats and books. There's a little kitty right there, and there's some other cats on it. I think that it kind of got into that little groove there, so I need to plan out future ones a little bit better. But everything is an experiment when you first get new items to use. But anyway, a nice little trinket dish, candy dish. And this is new for this year. I don't remember if I put them on any previous videos, but 2003, and I'm using a combination of different little stamps and date to make it look like a snow globe, and some of them just have the plain kitty with the date, and these can be made into magnets. I sent some as magnets down there a couple of months ago, and these are ornaments. And also the store here in Virginia is having a Christmas in July sale next month. So I'm hoping to get some items ready for there also. And I made a couple of them in red underglaze. Red underglaze, wipe it back, and then plain clear glaze. That one has a little present. And these others are pretty much the same as the ones I showed you. But I also like this one. It's a little kitty cat. It's a stamp that has yarn. I think those are cute. But all of those are ornaments. I'm trying to get a little head start on the holidays because it really sneaks up fast. The store that sells pottery that I make out in Tennessee is in Pigeon Forge. So I make a lot of these little kitty cats and make them into magnets and ornaments. Here's another new design using the same rolling pin cutter not cutter, but a rolling pin to make the design in the clay. This is a brown speckle clay, so the Celadon glaze looks a little darker than it normally would because usually use white clay. And this is another new design, a new kitty bowl design. It's a little bit more shallow and wider for kitties that don't like for their whiskers to touch the edge of the bowl. And I'm in love with winter wood. I've used winter wood glaze in the past, but it had been a little while, and recently used it and had to buy more because I really like that. And this is also a brown speckle clay. And another new design. These are little bowls, and I kept the bowl part just the plain white, used clear glaze. Still having a little bit of problems with the white clay warping and cracking and things like that, but I can make small things like small dishes and things like that, but it just isn't working very well when it comes to making mugs. So here's another one that's similar to the one that I just showed you with the ears on it. So I got this little cutter to cut out fish and used the lettering to put meow on that. So kept that plain white. I don't think I've done any just in white before. And I may have mentioned this because I did have them at the craft show earlier in the spring. These little vases, well, you can use it as a vase, and when it's not being used as a vase, you can just put the little lid on it. And people were talking about using it as treat jars, so I started putting kitties on them. And this is white glaze, but it's on brown speckle clay, so it looks almost like winter wood. And so I'm going to be putting some decals on them, put treats and a kitty right here, but I've got to put the decals on and then fire those on there. And so I have 3 of those to do. And using the winter wood, this is a little tray to go under the planter. And so I thought about putting little paw prints in the bottom because I'm really excited about this. I was so happy to open the kiln. This is winter wood, and this is a planter. And this is a new design, and I really like the paw print idea. I thought I would see how that turns out. I put clear glaze on so it would be the color of the clay, and then after putting the clear glaze on that, I use a wax resist that keeps the glaze from getting on that, and then I glaze the piece, and the little kitty is hanging off the side of the planter. And I got a couple of molds, not the type of mold that you pour like is in ceramics. I did ceramics years ago, but rather than that type of mold, it's a different type of mold. But I thought I would start with the smallest and work my way up, because the largest molds are pretty large. And I've been looking at planters to use around the house, and I got the bright idea when I saw these molds that I can get the molds and make them myself. So I look forward to getting into making the larger planters, and I can probably provide those at the store in Virginia. And for spring colors, here's the little kitty gnomes. They sell really well. And so I have several of those, either black and white or calico. Just different designs on them. And I don't believe I put these on a video either, but I'll be putting these on the borders of picture frames. So I'll attach these to the picture frames. I made the template to cut it out, and the store here in Virginia already sold one of these that I made onto the picture frame, and I sent a couple more down to Tennessee. I don't know if they've sold yet or not, but it wasn't very long ago. And here's another one in blue, and these are both with the speckled brown clay. And so they will be attached to 4 by 6. The picture frames are 4 by 6s. And I made this succulent planter to go in the store in Virginia because they're having a class on planting succulents. And so I thought I would put a couple small planters there in case someone needs their own planter, because they can bring their own, or I think get one from the person who's putting the class on. And I'm just thinking that having a couple of planters on hand is probably a good idea. And I made several of these. I'm always making the little kitty spoon rests because they sell really well. And this one has little reindeer on it. And I know it's early to think about Christmas, but if I don't get a little push on it, then I'm going to find myself behind for the holiday again. And this one has daisies on it. And these are all with the speckled clay, so of course the glazes turn out a little bit darker on those. And just playing around, I made a little tiny kitty sculpture, and that's on the brown speckle clay. And that's why speckles show through. That's a white glaze, but the speckles show through. And I'm thinking about possibly making some of these to add on to different other pieces. I have made them and put them on the side of bowls and things like that. I think that about covers it, and I will likely maybe attach a picture of what I was talking about, putting the decals on these, and put the word treats up here. Now the decals will turn out to be a sepia color because they are an overglaze decal that I'm printing here myself, and so they're not in color. They turn out to be a sepia, and that's the type of color that ink makes. And so, and put little treats up here. I made one of these before, and seems to be a pretty popular idea. I think that about covers it. Thank you for joining me again today.